Well, today the union movement is losing members. I mean, the manufacturing base in this country has shrunk. The United Auto Workers is a third the size that it was years ago, and so now they're organizing car wash workers, they're organizing casino workers. Excuse me, I think it was the steel workers who were organizing car wash workers, but the UAW, the auto workers, are organizing people who work in casinos in New Jersey, in Atlantic City. The unions are looking for new places to go. And they typically did not look at the service industries, they typically did not look at the low-wage industries, but that's where the ducks are. I think there'll always be unionization of businesses, and restaurants are not exempt. And the unions are getting smarter about how they're organizing. They're putting pressure on companies from the top down instead of the bottom up. They're not necessarily organizing the employees. They're organizing the company's management and threatening them with demonization of their brand, picketing, et cetera. And just as companies have caved into the Humane Society or PETA, there will be companies who cave into unions. You know, unions generally don't put companies out of business or make them non-competitive because of wage rates or benefits. I mean, they do, in fact, jack those up in some cases, but not enough to put the company in a non-competitive position. It's all the work rules. When General Motors and Ford were fighting with the UAW, they had a contract that was over 2,000 pages long. You don't need a contract that big to figure out how much to pay somebody or what their benefits are going to be. It's the work rules that make it difficult to assign certain people to jobs. It's the work rules that suggest whether you can or cannot employ somebody in a particular occupation inside the restaurant. It's the stuff that really is under the radar that makes a place very inefficient. And that's one of the big problems with unionization. Well, I can't think of anything that's a pro for management. Obviously, for some employees, being in a union is a positive, especially if you've got an insensitive management company or you've got an insensitive manager. You know, the old rule about a company gets whatever union they deserve is probably true. And when I've done union organizing drives, when I've represented companies, oftentimes if you just take the general manager out of the store, the whole union organizing effort goes away, although that's when it's bottom-up organizing. But there's no doubt about it that there are employees who will benefit from having a third party represent them because they don't feel that they can speak to management. What companies really should be thinking about is how do they get their human resources department to be thinking preemptively. If you got word that there was a union that was trying to organize one or more of your restaurants tomorrow morning, do you really know what you would do about it? And a lot of the human resources people in the industry have not had to worry about this for 20, 30 years. And so today, most of our human resource executives don't have a lot of experience in this area because it's not been an area where there's been much activity. So I do think that companies ought to think about what they should be doing today in case they get a problem tomorrow. I have never met a union organizing drive that I thought was legitimate. These people are obviously trying to organize the employees so that they can get more dues dollars. Some of these younger people will be funding the pensions of some of the older people, but they'll never stay in the industry. It's a little bit of a scam when you're trying to organize employees in the restaurant industry who are not going to be there very long. It doesn't help management. It hurts management in terms of all the restrictive work rules and work practices. You can't fire people who are inept without going through a big grievance procedure. There's nothing positive about this for the restaurant industry. This should not be an industry that gets organized by these outside unions. It would be disastrous, quite frankly. Why is advocacy important to the restaurant operator? Tune in next time for an explanation.